I'm a guy that's 25. Lego Star Wars is my life. I like Ryan Johnson. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back in with another video, and this is going to be yet another episode of the Lego Star Wars MOC Showcase. This is simply a collection of some of the coolest MOCs that I found on the internet, so if you find any of these MOCs interesting, cool, awesome, whatever, just make sure you go and support the builders using the links that I provided in the description. So let's jump right into it. The first MOC we'll take a look at today is titled Dwarf Trident Attack on Fondor by Ryan Mcbryde. This is a MOC that really stuck out to me because of the Trident droid. This is something I feel you don't typically see recreated in Lego. It was most notably in the Clone Wars Camino episode, and I love that he's recreated it here in Lego. I think this is actually a modification on that droid that we saw in the Clone Wars episode. He's titled this a Dwarf Trident droid, which I assume just means that he's, shrunken down the size a little bit. I think if this were scale accurate, it would be much bigger even compared to this large building here, but he basically just wanted to accommodate it to the size of this build, which I think makes sense. But for all intents and purposes, we can just call this thing a Trident droid. The build for the actual Trident droid I think looks awesome. If you look towards the top, I love how he has these angles coming together. The part that really sticks out to me is this hemisphere piece that's placed right here between these two arches. I think that looks really good, and the coloring also looks nice as well. I think that this white and dark tan color scheme looks nice for the Trident droid. You can see he's using some of the bigger, bulkier hinges for the actual tentacles on the Trident droid, which actually works well. These specific hinges, you have the ability to rotate it in four directions technically. You can rotate it forward and backwards, and of course around on that same axis. So it just gives you a bigger range of motion when it comes to positioning these tentacles right here, and it works out pretty well. I think the building itself also looks really nice. We get a better view of it if we go to the next picture over here. We can see that top design just looks really cool. I feel like this is a very simple design. Like if you've ever just had a group of Lego pieces, I feel you might just stack all of them up together, kind of like this build is, and then if you stack them, you might notice that they start kind of curving a little bit, and I like it when people use that aspect of Lego to their advantage when it comes to builds like these. Because it makes a really nice curved roof. I mean, it just makes the building look pretty cool. I think that the purple windows on the building also look really nice. It's just a nice touch. You don't typically see purple windows on anything in Star Wars, so that works out pretty well. I like this picture also because it just gives you a sense of the scale of this build. Like there's the Trident droid, and of course the top of the building that's really in focus, and then the background of the build are just the citizens kind of going crazy on the surface of the planet. So that's just a very aesthetically pleasing thing to me. This final photo right here, I'd say, is the money shot. It gives us the most holistic look at this MOC, and there's a lot to be appreciated here. I love it when people try to build broken windows in Lego, especially using these trans purple cheese slopes right here. That looks awesome. It's one thing to build the broken window, like that looks cool in itself, but the fact that this is trans purple, I don't know what it is about trans purple, but it just looks so awesome there. I love the way that came out. You can see there's even some people in the building freaking out, probably wondering what the heck is happening outside this building. He's even built, I don't even know what you'd call this. It's a Trandoshan, and I want to say a mech suit, but maybe it's not a mech suit. Maybe it's just some sort of brick-built clothing that he tried to build for the Trandoshan. Either way, that's a pretty interesting way to just go about making a unique-looking figure here. And then, of course, at the very bottom, we have just citizens freaking out. Looks like there might even be some protesters over to the left side holding some signs. And then over to the right side, we have, looks like some technicians, some Imperial guys, some stormtroopers. Everyone is just freaking out because this giant Trident droid is attacking the city. But overall, this is such just unique looking Star Wars MOC. I think if you look at this and you hadn't seen that Clone Wars episode, it might not be obvious that this is a Star Wars build if you weren't paying close attention to the stormtroopers and whatnot. But this still has a very Star Warsy feel to me. These are some of my favorite builds to review in the MOC Showcase, the ones that are just done from people's imagination. They aren't anything specifically recognizable from Star Wars, but it feels like it could sit right there in with the Star Wars universe. So wonderful job, and I love that Trident droid. I hope that the builder of this, even if they took down the building, would still keep that droid, because that is just a very nice looking build. Alright, the next build is by DarthBricks, and it is titled Ring of Fire. This was one that instantly stuck out to me because there is just some awesome stuff in this build. I have to first talk about the color scheme. I think color is such an important thing when it comes to building Star Wars MOCs. You know, you can go for this mostly monochromatic look here. Like obviously he's used a bunch of blacks, but the accents are what really make this MOC, whether it be the trans red beam coming down from that middle apparatus, the trans red kind of poking out from the back wall towards the middle and bottom floor section, or the lava that is basically splitting the MOC into two distinct halves. I think all of those things work in such favor of this build. And then of course, you know, the light pattern on the back wall also looks really nice. There is just so much to appreciate about this build. I think that the monochromatic black color looks really cool. I think just black in general, when it's combined with just a bunch of greebling pieces, always is a very awesome thing in Lego. Black, just, you know, the way the shadows are kind of work with Lego, and like the reflections of the black pieces. I don't really know how to really specifically explain it. I just think black greebles in general look very nice in Lego. I love that he used these scaffolding pieces on the back wall. That's something I feel you don't typically see used with Imperial-esque architecture, but it works out pretty well here. I also really like this design on the back wall, using these turntables with the 3x3 dishes in the middle of them. That's just a nice wall design. Even these sections up top above those scaffolding pieces also look cool, with like the rim piece on its side. There's like a satellite dish on the top, a 2x2 cone piece below it. Like, man, there's just some really cool looking techniques here, and the fact that it's all black just makes it look even cooler. Next, I want to focus on this middle apparatus here. So this build was done for one of the RPGs that people do in Lego, which is just kind of cool in itself. So you'll notice some pretty interesting looking minifigures. Like there's the Bausch helmeted minifigure over to the left. There's the Chist figure over to the right with the, just looks like the Han Mud Trooper helmet, if I'm not mistaken. There's even what appears to be some just totally mauled Shadow Troopers in the back. I'm assuming that the cape is supposed to be blood, and like the leg, both of their legs just got ripped off. I do have to wonder what happened here to where both of them had legs ripped off, you know, like why the leg? Like, why go for the leg? Someone needs to explain this to me. Why did they only rip off one leg? Like, why stop there? Why not take it? Anyways, this is just a very nice looking MOC. I guess the point I was trying to get at was this middle little console section right here. I think this looks really good, using that black flex tubing kind of stretched into a circle, and then there's like the curved slopes clipped onto it on the sides, and even the printed console pieces just, you know, forming four corners of this build. It just a very nice and unique looking design, right? Like, this is another one of those things, you know, this is not a scene straight out of anything you've probably ever seen in Star Wars, but it looks and feels like Star Wars. That is something that is so awesome to achieve. The last thing I wanted to talk about was this lava splitting the MOC down the middle up front. I honestly kind of wish he used this same like trans orange color towards the back, where there's that like arch piece. It looks like it's mostly trans red back there. I think this would work even better if it was the trans orange going all the way to the back of the MOC. But I mean, I can't fault him. Like, it still looks awesome either way. That's just a personal preference for me. I think maybe even could have looked cool if instead of the trans clear panels on the back walls, if you just went with like trans orange and red. I don't know, that might be an interesting thing for someone to try out at some point. Either way, I think this is such a fun build. If you want to read up on the story, like the backstory behind the MOC, of course, click the description in the if you want to read up on the backstory of this build, of course, click the link in the description. And of course, he has a breakdown of basically the story that is being told in this MOC. But even if you're not especially interested in the story, this is just a great MOC that can be appreciated just with the context of what you see in this picture. Okay, the next build is titled Duel of the Fates by Sam JJ. If you guys are wondering how you can make it into the MOC showcase, a pretty surefire way for you to do so is to make a MOC that has Lego Star Wars elements in it, like Lego Star Wars video game elements in it. This MOC is full of them, and I love it because of that. Let's first focus on that. So the first thing that stuck out to me were these yellow, they're not canisters, these yellow just containers right here. I don't know what you'd call those. Those straight out of Lego Star Wars. There's of course the mini kit in the background. I think a lot of you probably might notice that first off. Also, these like cargo crates to the left, Also, just scream Lego Star Wars. There are so many cool, fun Lego Star Wars-esque elements to this build, but that's not just all that this build is. This is still just a very nice MOC in its own regard, with some Lego Star Wars elements for those who might appreciate it, which is always cool to see with builds like these. Outside of the Lego Star Wars elements, I love the discoloration / weathering that he's done on the walls. I think having these cheese slopes kind of stuck in here just gives a nice shape to the dark tan coloring on the walls. I think that looks pretty good. I also think it's kind of cool that he used like tiles kind of sticking or jutting out of the wall just to give it a little bit more depth, a little bit more texture. That looks pretty nice. And then there's even some profile bricks kind of stuck in there, basically to give those lines of texture in the wall. Altogether, it just looks very much like the Naboo Palace, right? Like the walls in this room are very nicely detailed. It would be so simple to just, make this all tan and kind of be done with it. But I can appreciate when any builder takes an extra step to just add that next level of detail, that next level of attention to things that you might actually notice on the walls if you care to look closely at any of these scenes. I think the crumbled battle droids surrounding the two main characters and Darth Maul also looks really good. Like the battle droids in this scene are just totally wrecked, which looks great. That's one of the joys of the Lego battle droids, is the fact that you can just rip them apart and kind of pose them in interesting, funny ways as they're just lying dead, lifeless across your build. I really like what he did with Darth Maul's lightsaber here. I've never seen someone attempt this, but this actually kind of works. And that's going to finish up today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking out these MOCs with me. As I mentioned earlier, the links to all of these builds are in the description, so if any of them stuck out to you, please go show their builders some love. They put together some awesome work here, and I'd love it if they got as much recognition, appreciation, and love as possible. So go check those guys out. If you guys like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.